Welcome to WeLearn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 12, Foreign Investment and MNCs. Topics which we will cover in this session are Introduction, Foreign Capital, Types of Foreign Capital, Foreign Direct Investment, Portfolio Investment, Role of foreign capital, government policy, joint ventures and multinational corporations. Coming towards the introduction. When capital available within the country is not sufficient, capital from abroad is made use of. For less developed countries, capital has been provided by the international organizations like World Bank and International Monetary Fund at government level. The recent technological developments and spread of information technology have opened up the economies the world over as never in the past. This in turn has increased the multinational role and importance of capital. It has been realized by many countries that inflow of capital from abroad is vital not only in the early stages of economic development but also for the growth of the developing economy. Most of the countries now have been taking use of foreign capital and investments. Coming towards the foreign capital. The term foreign capital includes any inflow of capital in home country or from abroad. It may be in the form of capital, foreign aid or loan and grants from the host country or an institution at the government level, as well as foreign investment and commercial borrowing at the enterprise level or both. Foreign capital may flow in any country with technological collaboration. Foreign capital is useful for both developed and developing countries. Advanced countries try actively to invest capital in developing countries. Coming towards the types of foreign capital. Foreign capital can be divided into two types. Number 1, foreign aid, and number 2, private foreign investment. Now the foreign aid may consist of loans and grants. Private foreign investment takes two forms, that is foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investments. Now foreign direct investment may further take the form of wholly owned subsidiaries, joint ventures, acquisitions, and the foreign portfolio investment may be invested by foreign institutional investors, that is FIIs and NRIs, investment in GDRs and FCCBs. Now this diagram represents the foreign capital. Foreign capital is divided into two parts, that is foreign aid and private foreign investment. Further, foreign aid is divided into loans and grants, and private foreign investment is divided into foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. Now the foreign direct investment is divided into three parts, that is wholly owned subsidiaries, joint ventures and acquisitions, and the foreign portfolio investment are divided into two parts. Those are investment by foreign institutional investors and NRIs, and number 2, these are investment in GDRs and FCCBs. Now coming towards the foreign direct investment. It is also known as direct business investment. Following are the main characteristics of FDIs. These are: it is an investment made by a foreign company in the home company. The foreign company may take an investment either by opening its branch or by having a subsidiary or foreign controlled company in the home country. Next is profit is the prime motive of such investment. It may be in the form of royalty and dividend payments. Next is investor retain control over investment and management of the firm concerned. On the winding up of the firm, the assets may be repartitioned to the country of origin. Next is the portfolio investment. Portfolio investment is an investment in a foreign country where the investing party does not seek control over the investment. It takes the form of the purchase of equity in a foreign stock market or credit or capital from private or official sources. The main features of portfolio investment are: number 1, the investigator purchases the equity in a foreign stock market, that is, he has a sort of property interest. Number 2, the equity includes shares and creditor capital. Number 3, the equity purchased is of a joint stock company. Number 4, the investor is a non-resident. Number 5, if it is a creditor's capital, it may be from private or official sources and is invested in recipient country's joint stock company. Next is, the investor does not seek control over the investment if they do not have involvement with the promotion and management of joint stock company. Next is, portfolio investment can be liquidated fairly easily. And the last is, portfolio investments are influenced by short-term gains and are more sensitive than FDIs. Next topic is role of foreign capital. In the early stages of industrialization in any country, foreign capital plays an important role. The role of foreign capital are: number 1, increase in resources. Foreign capital not only provide an addition to the domestic saving and resources but also an addition to productive assets of the country. The country gets foreign exchange through FDIs. It helps to increase the investment level and therefore income and employment in the recipient country. Next is risk taking. Foreign capital undertakes the initial risk of development new lines of production, and it has its experience, initiative, resources, or explore new lines. Technical know-how. Foreign investors brings with him the technical and managerial know-hows. This helps the recipient country to organize its resources in most efficient way. That is, the least cost of production methods are adopted. They provide training facilities to the local personnels they employ. Next are the high standards. Foreign capital brings with it the tradition of keeping high standards in respect of quality of goods, higher real wage to labor and business practice. Marketing facilities. Foreign capital provides marketing outlets. It helps exports and imports among the unit located in different countries financed by the same firm. Reduces trade defects. Foreign capital, by helping the host country to increase exports, reduces trade defects. The exports are increased by raising the quality and quantity of products and by lowering prices. Next is increased competition. Foreign capital may help to increase competition and break domestic monopoly. Foreign capital is a good barometer of world's perception of a country's potential. Next is the government policy. On April 6, 1949, the government issued a statement on policy towards foreign capital. The main principle of the policy towards foreign capital is foreign investment was that foreign capital would be treated at par with Indian capital. Profit will be allowed to be an immensely limited and adequate compensation shall be paid on acquisition of any foreign enterprise. Next is the joint venture. There are three factors that determine global joint venture and foreign direct investment. So coming towards the first factor, that is the ownership advantage in the form of monopoly over a product or brand name, patent on the production process or technology, or a supervisor knowledge of the market and marketing techniques. The second factor is that the host country may have some locational advantage in terms of serving its market or an export base or low wage labor and low transportation cost, etc. The third factor is the condition that makes the foreign market more profitable than internal market. Next are the different types of joint ventures, which are number 1, a foreign private company and local state government. Number 2, one foreign company joining with a local company. Number 3, a government controlled company with joint ventures abroad. Number 4, two firms of one foreign country joining together in the foreign market. Number 5, companies from two or more countries forming a joint venture in a third country. And last is more than two nations in one joint venture. Next are the different advantages and different disadvantages of joint ventures. Coming towards the advantages of joint ventures, these are: country does not allow full foreign owned firms. Number 2, helps a local firm to enter foreign market. Number 3, they make possible the use of know-how, patent, etc. Number 4, they help to enhance foreign exchange earning. Number 5, the local firm can easily approach the national government and the public. And last is they help diversification of business risk among two countries. So coming towards the disadvantages, these are: the subsidiaries in host country allows to use only limited technologies. Number 2, skilled technical personnel may be restricted from learning process. Number 3, respect for local social custom and tradition may not be shown. Number 4, dominate some key industrial sector may divert idle serving away from productive investment by nationals. Now coming towards the last topic, that is the multinational corporations, MNC. MNC can be defined as the company which has a direct investment base in several countries. Number 2, which generally drives from 20% to 50% or more of its net profit from the foreign operations. And number 3, whose market may be a policy driven based on the alternative availables wherever in the world. The main 5 criteria for a company to be an MNC are: number 1, it operates in many countries at different level of economic development. Number 2, its local subsidiaries are managed by nationals. Number 3, it is a multinational stock ownership. Number 4, it has a multinational central management. Number 5, it maintains complete industrial organization including research and development and manufacturing facilities in several countries. The main characteristics of MNCs are: giant size. The asset and sale of MNC run into billions of dollars. In terms of total asset, General Electric, that is a US based company, and in terms of the foreign asset, Royal Dutch Shell, that is the UK and Netherlands based companies, are the largest among 50s. Next is international operations. An MNC operates through a patient corporation in home country. It may have a branch or a subsidiary. This is called affiliate. The control may range between 20% to 100%. Next is oligopolistic structure. Because of its giant size, it is able to acquire control through merger or takeover. It therefore becomes oligopolistic in character. Next is collective transfer of resources. MNC has the facility of transferring the resources in the form of package. It includes technical know-how, equipments and machineries, managerial skills and raw material, etc. And the last characteristic is growth. An MNC can grow at a faster rate because of wage differences, because of availability of opportunities in a host country, the economic dominance, investment in developed economies, and increase in world trade are other features of MNCs. Next are the merits and demerits of MNC. First, coming towards the merits. Number 1, they provide technological techniques to underdeveloped countries. Number 2, they help to break the monopolies. Number 3, they act as linkage to industries in underdeveloped countries. Number 4, they help research and development. Number 5, they are global scanners. So these are the merits. And the demerits are: they relatively create few jobs and do not help in solving unemployment problem in the host country. Number 2, the expenditure on R&D by MNC is negligible. Number 3, they may participate in non-essential and consumer goods. And the last is, they are oligopolistic in character. Next are few questions based on this session. These are: what is foreign capital? What are the various types of joint ventures? And the last is: point out some characteristics of MNCs. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.